Look at the latest updated numbers on the entire 18. This is the current Big Ten football teams and the 4 teams who will be joining later this summer. And according to the composite of the 24/7 Sports, these are the team rankings. With that in mind, we bring in a guy who always brings in talented players. He's the head coach of the Maryland Terrapins. He's Mike Locksley, fresh off a 7-win season. Got a bowl game coming up in 10 days. Mike, let me start with this. You got some big shoes to fill at the quarterback spot with Taulia Tagovailoa heading off to the next level. Hypothetically, if there was a transfer quarterback from the ACC in a hypothetical world, that would feel like a nice potential fit for those shoes.
Yeah, whether it's the transfer from another school to not be named, or Billy Edwards Jr., Cam Edge, we've recruited to that position and feel really comfortable about the guys that we have in the program. But obviously, with the advent of the transfer portal, to be able to go out and bring in a guy like MJ Morris to compete for the heir apparent, it makes us better. So really excited about the way this thing is shaped out on signing day. Really happy with the guys in our program, but we've also been able to create some value and add some value to our team with the way signing day has gone thus far. Still working.
Yeah, with you, you're always still working. There's always some big name that's going to come in that we might not have known about. Look at you just pursing. You're like, I'm not going to comment. Stuff's still moving. No. I do know from day one since you got to that program, you talked about the value of getting guys in the DMV area to come to you. And you got a running back, DeJuan Williams, from the Baltimore area, who's really impressive. How come?
Yeah, I think it starts with when you look at him on film when he was healthy, is the home runs, ability to hit the home run. He's a very physical runner. He's compactly built, shows great balance and body control, catches the ball out of the backfield. You know, he had the knee injury, but, you know, is already back running already. And he's a guy that'll be here early, so we'll be able to continue the rehab process. But when you watch him on tape and you look and see the type of teams that recruited him, you know, even after the injury, he's a big get for us and a needed get for us here locally.
Speaking of local DMV area guys, where's Mekhi White fit into the program?
Yeah, you know, from down in King George, a long wide receiver. We see him as one of those outside threats. Really athletic, really talented. One of those guys that takes advantage of the 50-50 ball. Probably one of the better athletes. I mean, because as talented as he is as a receiver, I was even more impressed watching their state championship game at the way he played physically. And to me, you know, he kind of reminds me of a Dante Demas, a young Demas. Has the ability to come in and make an impact in our program early. He's one of those guys that'll be practicing with us in the next couple of days as an early enrollee. So really excited to get Mekhi on board and to be able to sneak into the state of Virginia out of King George and get a guy of his caliber. They played for a state championship. Really excited about Mekhi and what he'll bring to the table for us.
It feels like position-wise, you've got great depth at the offensive line in particular.
Very much needed. You know, the last couple of years, we've graduated 4 starters a year ago. This year, we were able to build some depth and bring in guys like Gottlieb, Ayeje, and Corey Bullock, who were able to fill some needs. But this year was a big emphasis. A year ago, D-line was the big emphasis. This year for us is offensive line. And if you look at the way we've recruited the high school student athlete, you know, we're still one of those programs that are going to recruit high school football players and develop them. And as we all know, you know, that O-line position with high school players tends to be a 2-3 year process. And so, you know, we went out and signed some transfer portal O-linemen to allow us time to develop this group. But, you know, I see this group being kind of the cornerstone for us as we build on the foundation that's been laid down.
Describe the style of quarterback Christian Martin.
You know what? Christian's a big arm kid. You know, having recruited him a long time and seeing his development, his growth. He's about 6'4.5". He's a 205-pound guy, 210-pound guy. He kind of reminds me, you know, I'm old enough to remember what Byron Leftwich looked like coming out of high school. He's got some Byron Leftwich throwing talent, strong arm, really sharp kid. A guy that's graduating high school with about 30 or more credits from college and You know, he's not your typical high school guy. He's staying in there the full semester, finishing up there in June and be here right after that. But one of those guys that has a strong arm, accurate, smart, and we like that in our quarterback.
You give some excellent analogies. He reminds you of a Dante Demas. He reminds you of a Byron Leftwich. It's great because you get to start to look at these young kids and see what they could be. And we know they have that chance in your program. Mike Locksley, you got the Music City Bowl coming up against Auburn. Best of luck then. Thanks for some of your time, man.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you guys.
Here's a look at the top commits according to the composite rankings of 24/7. We mentioned DeJuan Williams in there, top 10 player in the state, and Brandon Jacob, a safety from the Orlando area down in Florida. And again, it's a little tricky because when it comes to recruits, there are certain guys that coaches can't officially talk about, and so we want to ask them about players, but sometimes they can't talk about it. We can talk about it, however, Jake. And the guy I was talking about who's an ACC transfer is MJ Morris. A lot of schools wanted him to transfer to their program.
Yeah, I mean, look, his tape shows some potential. There's very high highs. There's also some low lows, but the potential is what makes you so excited. Here's the timeline. Back in November, Maryland hires Mercy Felez as Director of Player Personnel and GM. He was at NC State when Morris was committed to them back in his recruiting days. So immediately Mercy comes in and says, this is the guy, Coach Locksley, that you need to get. Coach Locksley watches the tape and falls in love with him. So a great get for the Terrapins. Jamari Powell-Watson is a guy, just like Locke said, you want to recruit your backyard. He's got that good height and length. Maryland has loved those guys. He's 6'2", and when you watch his tape, he just makes a lot of acrobatic, highlight, one-handed catches, tracks the ball downfield really well. I will say, looking at his tape, you just don't see a full route tree yet. He'll need to develop that to reach his full potential.
Highest ranked guy on paper in the class is Brandon Jacob out of Florida. Had 43 scholarship offers. Schools like Texas A&M, Alabama, UCF recruited him hard. So this is a really good recruiting win from a state that Maryland's had a lot of success in. A very good athlete. He was an AAU junior Olympian. He's run track. He has excellent ball skills, but he's an impact guy in the secondary. DeJuan Williams is an interesting prospect because he missed his senior season with an injury, but had that not happened, I think he would be even more highly ranked than he is, and he's a 4-star right now. Had some big performances at Baltimore St. Francis. You know that's a good program. You know they've put out some running backs like Blake Corum. He had a really outstanding junior season for them. Whenever they played tough competition, he was up to the task, had some of his biggest games against their toughest opponents. Same thing with Lloyd Irvin. He also did not play as a senior. That was not due to injury. That was a choice. He's getting ready for college, but 6'3", 175-pound outside corner with a ton of upside potential. I think he's going to come to college, get developed, and be outstanding. He allowed no touchdown catches during his junior season, had several other scholarship offers, chose Maryland over Boston College, Virginia Tech, and West Virginia.
Ryan Howerton, 6'4", 295. You heard Coach Locks talk about still wanting to recruit those young offensive linemen. This is one of those guys. It's going to take some time for him to develop, but I like his ability. I like his athleticism, his footwork. He's going to be a guy that I think is going to give them a lot of promise coming in the future as he continues to develop and work on his skills. His athletic is all get out, so he'll have an opportunity to really help this program move forward.